So, hello everybody, welcome to today's class. In our last class, we spoke and introduced on HTML tags, not an introduction of HTML tags. We talked extensively about what HTML tags was, what they were about. We had a lot of discussions on HTML tags, but today I don't want to do that. I said in our last class that today we're going to talk more on the practical aspect of HTML tags. So I want to use some of the popular HTML tags that we have in HTML, and we're going to just practicalize them on our code. So we're not going to do a lot of writing today. We're not going to do a lot of, GST, a lot of English. We're going to go straight into our code editor and, write some code and test them out. So a bit of a refresh from our last discussion. We said that HTML tags are like the building blocks. Instead, we can see them as labels which we use to give instruction on how content should be treated. So in case if you don't remember most of those, or in case what I said now just sounded very new or odd to you, I suggest you go back to the last class and watch that video. I explained and spoke more about that in detail. Today, we're gonna just do something very simple. We're gonna open our VS Code. I have mine opened up here, and we're gonna just start testing out something. So I would like you to create a new file. Now you guys know how to create a file already. Just go to your file, go to new file, name it. I want to name it to create it. If you don't know how to create it, you can always go back to my last video and check that out. So now, I said before that we had different types of HTML tags. I'm going to delete all this so that we can start from a brand new. So first of all, before we start, I want us to define what content is because I've been saying content a lot in our past videos, and I don't think I've actually taken my time to properly describe what content is. And content is basically this: anything that it's there, like any text that is written, it's called content. And why it's called content is that the code editor, or in this case your browser, doesn't necessarily treat it as code. It doesn't treat it as anything specific. It just treats it as content text. So even if you open it in the browser, even if we're using a code editor, it treats it as normal English. In order to make the browser understand and change the way it displays it, you need to utilize tags. So I'm going to start from the most simple tag, which is the most basic tag which we have here, and which is the p tag. So p means paragraph. We had that discussion on that in our last class, and we said that it's the tag that is used to display or define paragraphs. Now, even though this is a tag that represents a paragraph, it doesn't really change anything. So if I write the same thing here and I save and refresh, okay, let me check out the browser. It's going to be almost the same thing, like almost the same. And the reason why is that by default, the browser treats all text like paragraphs. So they're basically having like the same exact default, preset applied to them. So even if it's there, even if it's working, it doesn't really make any difference because paragraph, this technically is a paragraph in of itself, even though we didn't apply any particular tag to it. But what you know is that when applying text or writing text in code, paragraph always starts a new body of text. And then when you go to the next one, automatically adds space for you, as you can see. It's kind of like a space in between. So it does that automatically for you. So that's what the paragraph tag is. And that tag we discussed on, very popular tag too, is our H1, if you remember. And we said that H1 means a header. We said that H1 means header 1. And it's basically used to define headers or headings. Is used to define or represent a header or a heading. Why is this important? Because there are sometimes, I'm going to open something up, but let's reload it and see. As you can see, this is the header. There are sometimes where you might want something to look large. Like for example, if you come over to this website here, you can see this huge place, this huge panel here, helping buyers and sellers move with confidence. It's a website design I'm working on. So this is the header, and it needs to be big, it needs to be bold. So they need to stand out. They need to be large and bold. So that's why we use H1, which means header 1. So H1 means header 1. But another thing I didn't tell you in our last class regarding headers is that there are 6 levels of headers that we have. Each one has a varying size because you know how you can have multiple headers. So we have our H2, which is header 2. This is a smaller header. We have our H3 is an even smaller header. We also have our H4, which is header 4, and this is the fourth size level of a header. We have our header 5, which is H5. This is the fifth size level of a header. And we have the last one, our header 6. So there are 6 levels of headers that is given to us in HTML. So this is the sixth level of a header. There are 6 levels given to us. There's no header 7, header 8, no, it's 1 to 6. And when we save this and go back to our browser, we're going to notice that, as you can see, they are all different sizes. Each one is the biggest. This is slightly smaller. This is even slightly smaller, a bit smaller. You get the point. And they are used for different content. So you can have like a website, like a blog, for example, where you can have one massive title, which is like the title of the blog. But then along the line, you might still have another subtitle. You get? And still along the line, you might even have a subheading, just something there that is not really a title, but it's like a small heading to a small section of the discussion. So that's why we have different sizes of this. Now, another tag that I also wanted to talk on was break. Now, most tags work with content, and this is what you're going to learn in coding is that it's like, I don't know that time when I talked about English. I don't know if you all went through this English class where they're like the rules of English, where they're like, oh, this rule, you're using S at the back, it's for plural, and you kind of learn that, okay, adding S at the back of this thing is for plural, and then later they tell you add es, and later they tell you add ies, and then they tell you add something, like it doesn't seem to be consistent. And coding kind of applies to coding too. It doesn't really sound very consistent, because while most of them seem to have content, we still have our void tag. Now all these examples have been of open and closing tags, and they are all been characterized by three defining structures: the opening tag, the content, which is the piece of text inside, and the closing tag, which tells the browser where to stop applying that instruction. But we have some that doesn't need a closing tag, like BR. BR, I said I'm not going to write too much stuff. I guess I'm going to write in this one. BR is another example I'm going to add here, and it stands for means break or line break. And it's basically used to break a line. Yes, that's the best way to put it. To give space in between a line. So I'm going to practicalize it because it's going to be much easier to show you in practice in comparison to, like, just telling you. So why don't I go to my code and refresh? And you're not going to notice anything until I add content under. So I'm going to add another p tag. This is new content I am adding. And if I save this and go back and refresh, as you can see, there's enough space. It's not like the other ones where there's like one consistent small space in between. There's enough space. I can even make the space more by adding another break. And if I save it, come down here, check it out, there's even more space. So that's what B tag is all about. Another tag that we're also going to see here, and again, I'm just giving you guys examples of tags and how they apply or how they affect content business. Another one we have here is our italic. Italic, I don't know, for those who have used Word documents or any kind of Word editing document, probably know italic. And this is for an italic text. I think I wrote text here by mistake. Let me fix text. And now refresh the italic. I'm going to say that it's actually italic, that is slanted for those who know italic text. We also have another one which is strong. We have strong too. Strong is another kind of, tag. We also have bold. So we have bold, which is this, and bold is for our bold text. Again, for those who have used Word documents before, this will not be very unfamiliar to you. It's for our bold text. So let's say, for example, you're writing an essay, you're writing a blog, an article, and you're running the code, and you want to highlight a certain section. You can do that with bold. You can also do it with strong. So if you come here, you can also do it with strong. Strong kind of does the same thing, which is for strong text. So it's just used to represent something of strong importance or strong seriousness or strong urgency. Tends to be bold, which is used to represent something of also extra importance that needs attention to be drawn to it. Now, as I've noticed, whenever I hover on any tag, it gives me a meaning on my Visual Studio Code. It gives me the title, the meaning. So in case if you want to know the meaning of any tag, you can always hover on them to see the meaning. But let's refresh and test it out. As you can see, bold text, strong text, the same thing. Does the same thing, just makes it bold, makes it strong. If you want to underline content, you can use the U tag. This is for underline content. And if you save it, go back to our browser, refresh it. Now I expect you guys to be, as you can see, it's underlined. So I expect you guys to also practicalize this. So if you have your system there with you, don't just watch a movie. Also type it out. I want you to get a feel for it. Type it out, practice it so that you get more natural at performing this action. So now what I'm going to do is that you can pause the video here and type them out if you want to, but for now I'm going to delete all this. And I want to also show you guys because we can combine these tags together to give like a kind of hybrid instruction to content. For example, let's say again, if I go back to like I said earlier that in case you're writing an article or a blog and you want to highlight something, we can have our P tag here. So we can have our P tag. And inside that P tag, we can open it, create space in between. Now remember, this is still open and closing tag. We made space for a longer content. There is no law that says everything must be inside one line. I'm going to write something like, this is an article that I am writing for a class I am tutoring, and I don't really know why I am writing this, but I know that I am basically exactly. So now this is a small article that I just wrote, and inside this small article, I want to highlight the fact that I'm tutoring this. I can easily come inside here and I can add my B tag. And inside this B tag, I can copy this and have it pasted inside here. Now, if I also want to make something an italic, like let me say I want to add something like this. So PS, this is used to highlight my life. Yes, my life. And you know what PS means for those who write articles? It's just like a side note. So it's just like an English stuff. And I want to, let my viewers know that this is not part of like the main story, it's just a side note. I can easily highlight it and make it in italic. So I can add my I tag and I'll copy this, highlight my life, I get this stuff, and I put it inside here. And when I save this, go back to my browser, refresh. As you can see, this is an article that I'm writing for a class I'm tutoring. And tutoring is highlighted, it's bold. PS, this is used to highlight my life, it's so bold. If I want to add additional functions to it, I can come back here Maybe I want to also underline it. I can copy this or cut it, and I can add my U tag for underline and paste it inside there. So now when I refresh, it's now bold and underlined. So the key takeaway from this particular example is that tags can live inside other tags. You can put tags inside more tags and they'll all work together. They'll all each apply their instructions. It doesn't override each other. If there are two tags, unless they do the exact same thing, they will, if you do the exact same thing, you have just one effect obviously. But if you do different things, they perform their different things well. So another very popular tag that I'm going to learn is list. Now, list is another example of a tag that we have. I'm going to write that down. Going to the next line. So list is a unique case which I'm also going to bring out here because we have three kinds of lists. This means unordered list. Lists are just as it sounds when you want to add a list to a web page or a list to a website. So let's say for example, I scrap all this, scrap everything I did here. Again, you can pause the video and write it out if you want to. Like something like this is a list of ingredients I need to bake cake. I just have a list of ingredients I need to bake cake. Now, in order to create a list, there are three types of lists in programming. There are three types of lists. I'm just going to go through the three of them. So this is the first one, unordered list. The second one is OL, and it means ordered list. So these are the main two I'm going to be focusing on: unordered list, ordered list. And then third I'm going to focus on is a very unique concept which I'm going to introduce with list, but for now I'm going to keep quiet on it. So it means list item. So of course, at this point, you should know now that if you're with me personally, you should jot things down. If you have any question, you can always jot it down or take a screenshot. You can't be bothered to write, take a screenshot so you can get back to the questions and you have to tackle them. So I want to add a list here of ingredients that I need to bake cake. There are two ways I can add this list, at least two ways we are discussing in this class. We have the ordered list and the unordered list. And the difference between two of them is urgent. So for another list is a type of list where you don't care what's first and what's last. You just want a list. For example, a list of things you use to bake cake. So we have our URL, which is another list. So let's add our first list item. I'm going to call it flour because people need flour in baking cake. And that thing we use to make cake is let's say sugar. Okay. So after sugar, and that thing we also use in cake making is milk. Another thing used in cake making is eggs. Okay, so if I go back to my browser, my refresh, unlike all this other content I'll be adding like text, if I refresh this now, as you can see, it comes out in pointers, comes out in like bulletin points. That's why I call it list. It's called a list. So now I have a list of stuff. So now we said that another list means that there is no pattern, no logic, no ascending order or descending order. It's just a list of things. That fly is on top does not mean fly is number one. Fly is just something on that list. And it's the same way with grocery shopping list or like, cake ingredients list. If you take a list to the market to get things for cake, just because flour is first on that list doesn't necessarily mean that flour is number one or flour is the first thing you get. It's just there on the list. It just happens to be at the top. Ordered list is different. Ordered list, like, so this is unordered, UL, unordered. The order is not important. It's written here. So it's a list of items where the order of the items is not important. Changing the order will not change the meaning of the document. So instead of flour here, I can add sugar and I can come down to sugar and I can come down here and add flour. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't really change anything on the general context of what I need to bake cake. It doesn't matter. So these are list items. List items represent each individual item. So you can have again either an unordered list or ordered list, and then the list item is an item that is inside there for each of the list items. And I'm going to explain that later, but I want to just go through the two kinds of lists. So second list we have is an ordered list. Inside there we have our first list item, which is okay. I'm going to give this a title too, so I can get lost. Let me see paragraph. This is the list of best let me see, best football players. Please don't come at me later. List of best one. Now in this case, you're going to realize that a list of this sort, a list of best football players are usually, very subjective, number one, so please don't come in this comment section. But also, very important, context matters. You get? If I put Cristiano Ronaldo at number one and I change it to something else later, let me say I replace with Messi, it means something. It means that Messi is better than Ronaldo, at least in this case. So as you can see here, the difference that unlike this one, which takes it out as bulletin point, where there's no real number one and no real number two, and everything is just a point, just an item. Here is different. Here there's a clear number one, there's a clear number two, there's a clear number three, and there's a clear number four. So this ordered list, there's a structure for it. Changing the structure might change the context of the list. It represents a list of items where the items have been intentionally ordered such that changing the order will change the meaning of the document. So for example, if I take out this fraud here, yes, calling it fraud, come up in the comment section. So if I take out this fraud here and I replace it with, our true glorious king, Lionel Messi, and I change it, this means that right now Messi would be number one. So in this case, the order matters, and it's used for when you are ranking. Lists like this is mostly used for rankings, best cars, best players, best basketball players, where the numbering matters. You can't just put anybody in number one. No, it needs to be properly ordered. So now I want to also discuss a new kind of, you know, I won't call it an instruction, I'll call it a new concept that is not necessarily part of code but is crucial to learning about HTML and also coding in general, and it's called nested elements. So to put it simply, what nested element is, or to define nested element, this can be defined as stacking or putting HTML or other code blocks or tags inside each other. So they can be kind of putting in HTML tags, or in case if you are learning another programming language in the future, that code block inside each other. And why I said, why I'm emphasizing on other code blocking is because nested elements is a concept that is not limited to just HTML. CSS utilizes it, JavaScript utilizes it, and even down the line in other languages like PHP, Python, we all utilize the concept of nested elements. And I think the best way to explain nested element to show you this there's a particular Russian nested door. Okay, I'll quickly search Russia as a country. Let's try it again. Russian egg nested door. Now I don't know if you guys have seen kind of this kind of door before. I'm gonna do a short video. I'll just text you a short video. This door where I hope I don't get I hope I don't get my app copyrighted for this. But I will just show you guys a short video where we see this door. It's a Russian door, and if you open the big door, you see another small door inside. You open the small door, you see a small door inside. Open that one, you see another small door inside. It's a very long frustrating. I don't know how football started for the sake of the creation. I don't really understand, but I guess that's how it is. So it's like each door is inside.
Welcome.
last door, as you can see, like each door is inside the last door. And the more they open the door, the more they see new doors inside. So I they call them nested doors. Each door is nested inside the last door. And that's the best way to understand nested elements. Because nested elements usually write the code inside each other. This is an example. If you notice, most of the code bases are nested. And how you know when an element is nested is by the spacing that it's given, like this. If you notice, the OL or the UL, which is the order list, represents the list. It tells the browser that, okay, there is a list here. Treat what comes there as a list. But it doesn't represent each item. The list item, which is the LI, represents each item individually. They can't live separate from each other. You can't have list item without OL. You can't have this without this. If you do it, well, let's try it out and see. Let's save this, save it like this, and then go back to our browser. I want to take off the nested down for my ads get copyrighted. And as you can see, it stops being another list. It becomes bulletin point. It's not more defined properly because it's not there. So I'm going to go back and add it back. If we do the same for up here too, so if I take off the UL, take off the other UL, and I save, and I come back and I refresh, as you can see, it's a lot more unstructured. So they can't exist independent of each other. They need to be together. They need to be nested, just the same way the small door needs to be inside the big door. This needs to be inside this to work correctly. And we're going to have a live practical of, think of it like a box. The big box is the outer tag, which in this case is the UL, the parent tag, because the tags outside are known as parents. As you can see here, the tags outside like this UL is known as the parent, while the one inside is known as the child. And I call it a child, I call it a small box, not an inner tag, and it must be fully inside. So another example is we can write something here. So we can come down here and we can write a p tag and we can say this is, then we also add our strong important. This is important. Then after our strong we can now add text. So this is important text. We come back to our browser, refresh, scroll down. As you can see, important is highlighted. This is nested because it lives inside the outer one. So this is the parent element because it's outside. This is the child element because it's inside, or the inner box. So this is how nested elements work. The tag inside is the inner one, while the tag outside. And the one you make sure when you're writing nested element, make sure each one is properly closed, as you can see. Make sure they're properly closed. So this concept, we're going to use it a lot. We're going to use it a whole lot. And if you notice, there's an order here. So the p tag, which comes outside, is the one that opens up the entire element. And the p tag also closes it up. While the strong is inside and it's properly closed inside. Very important. Don't make mistakes like, let me say, closing this outside here, like this. It's wrong. The nested one must be inside the parent one. So I also just get out of the way. Let's take that out and do that properly. Okay. So I want us together to use all this information we've seen so far to just type together. Type a small, simple code base together. And again, if I'm doing this too fast for you, you can always pause, slow down the video at your own pace, and also get screenshots, jot down your questions so that I can pass them back to you. So we're gonna just write a simple code block together. Just something simple, something small and simple. About myself. I hope you write about yourself. Don't write about me. Don't write about me. Write about yourself. So I'm first going to put a title here. So for a title, the tag we need for a title is our H1, as we all know. About me or about Afiche Great. Write your name there. Like in that case, I want you to write your name. So The first thing about myself is I'm going to add a subtitle here. And in this case, I want you to add three paragraphs. So as you can see here, I added three paragraphs. Now, one thing I'm going to tell you about your VS Code. This is VS Code. For those who have watched my old classes, now this is VS Code. And VS Code has a feature which is like a personalized AI tool. This entire code is work with a personality AI tool that the more you use it, the more it learns more about you and learns how. I don't know if you guys have noticed through the classes that it's been assisting me kind of auto complete my code, give me content, things like that because it understands me. In fact, you can see it wrote all this itself for me. I can see as you get professional web developer and designer. I didn't write this, it wrote this for me because it kind of knows what I do. It knows the skill sets I teach in, so it knows all those things. But in your case, yours the probably doesn't know anything about you, so you have to write your own out painstakingly. God help you. But I want you to write three paragraphs long of yourself. After that, I want something a bit more personalized. So I'm gonna add a paragraph here. I'm gonna write my name is. I'm gonna add our strong, or you can add bold, anyone you want to use. Akuche great. And we're also gonna go down because we're still using this for other things. So I want to push this down. I am learning or I'm teaching, let me say bold web development. So I'm teaching web development. I'm going to add a break here. So at this point, I'm just basically freestyling, just trying to practicalize this together with you guys. So I have a break here. We're going to add a smaller title, which is a H2. My interest, or I change it to what I teach. So what I teach or courses I teach, if these courses I teach or what I teach anyone that works for you. And under here, I'm going to create a list. So in this case, an ordered list. And in here, you can see I teach HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and how to build a responsive website. So this, I want you guys to do something similar to this on your, on your code editors, and if possible, take a screenshot, send it to me if you can, so that I'll have a look at it. So if I run it here, this is so that's it. So today we use P tag, strong tag, B tag, which is for bold, I tag for italic. You use your BR tag, which is for break. Although I've deleted both of them, but they are all here somewhere. You use your UL tags, you use your LI tag. So at this point, you're already writing real HTML. This is how it is. In fact, for reference, this is a website that I'm working on. You can see it's a lot longer, yes, but it's still the same thing. Very similar. And we're going to get to this level hopefully soon. But for now, we'll just go back to the basics where we are. So I am not really a fan of doing full task. I don't really enjoy it that much. But if I would like to give you a task, I'd say you should create a simple page about yourself. You see here, I did it myself. There's a framework for you to follow. At least three paragraphs, one list, one BR tag at least. And then you can also add a HR tag here. A HR tag. And basically it's used to draw a line. If that makes any sense. If that makes sense. I'm going to refresh and show you what it means. So I can see here there's a line. I don't know if you can see a line there. It's not a very noticeable line, but it's there. And it's called horizontal rule. It separates blocks of content like here and here by putting a line in between them. That's all it does. In all honesty, I rarely ever use it. In all honesty, I'm just putting it out there because I want to know it's there. So I want you to add that too in your page. And please don't copy and paste. Type it out. HTML is not magic. It's just tags. The tags, they are not magic. It's tags that are telling the browser what to do with the content you already give it. And hopefully in our next class, we're going to discuss and enter properly into attributes and show you how attributes complement tags. The same way you can say adjective complement nouns or adverbs complement verbs. So attributes are going to be used to complement our tags, to give them more meaning. I'm going to show you all that in the next class. So remember, type it yourself. Don't copy and paste. Eventually, you get to a point where you're going to be doing a copy and pasting. When I develop a real copy and pasting, sure. But in the beginning, you want to develop a muscle memory to do so. Try to type it out yourself, get a feel for it, and I'll see you in the next class.